am live. எப்படி தெரியும் ஆளுகள் வந்திருக்காரா இல்லையா? Can all of you hear me? If so, please comment. Am I audible and visible clearly to you all? Please comment in the comment section so that I can see. யாரும் வந்துக்கலையோ? Can somebody write a comment so that I know that I am visible and audible, please? Yeah. Please comment whether you can see me properly, whether lighting is okay, whether the audio is audible. Please comment करिए, comment करिए. Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram, Om Sai Ram. We'll wait for a few more minutes for others also to join. In the meantime, if you all have any questions on the topic of meditation, you can write them down now so that I can see them and I will try to weave them in my talk. The weather is in Maharashtra very bad, lot of rain in the districts, and so the connectivity is a big issue. But Mumbai especially does not have any rains right now, so to that extent it is good. Okay, now we shall start with the proceedings of this program. I will invoke the Guru Parampara as I have known, with the traditional invocation of Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Now when we invoke our gratitude to the Gurus, we have a set idea about all these things. And that is where the first difficulty comes. Now when the word Guru is uttered, then there are certain images that flash in the minds of people, both sadhaks and bhakts. And that is where the first problem arises. Because nobody wishes to recognize the KG class teacher or the nursery teacher as one's guru. Nobody is willing to recognize one's own mother also as a guru. These are the pitfalls on the path of spirituality. I think I have driven the point straight away to you today when I said, do not get carried away by traditional thinking. When I said traditional thinking means a thinking which has perpetuated for good reasons. I am not finding any fault with it. But one has to go a little deeper. Now, there is no point in saying that behind every successful man there is a woman and things like that. And when it comes to your own mother, you just don't recognize her. And when I say this, I must open up that folder a little more and give you more clarity. I remember a person who came in contact with me told me that his mother is not in good shape. She was not old. What he was trying to tell me that his mother is not mentally in good shape. And he looked at me. I said, what is the problem? She may not be in good shape, but you are in such great shape. That is all the more reason you should worship her as your guru. So, this symbolically illustrates that the guru may be tortured by his karma. The guru may be in difficulties because of his problems, but then the guru always would emit that energy which will bless you. This is the point that you have to understand. I can tell you a very important incident in the life of my mother. My mother is 92 and she is with me even now, and she is very active, and she has been a great source of inspiration to me. Now, when I say she has been a great source of inspiration to me, it's not that she has alphabetically taught me many things, saying that you'll do this or you don't do that. By her own living, she has been a role model for me. My mother is both modern and traditional. You'll be surprised. At 92, she has had convent education. And when it comes to religion and culture, she's unbeatable by any standards. When it comes to running the household, she's a perfect, skilled hazif. She is very erudite, very well informed, and even today you can discuss anything on the planet with her. She is aware of the devastation of afforestation as much as she is aware of the pandemic and its problems. Now, in my mother's case, she has been able to articulate all this with me. But in many mothers' cases, they are aware, but they may not articulate, or their children have not thought it fit to think about their mother in those lines, and discuss with her. Simple point I am trying to tell you, that you don't have to go very far to hunt the guru. The guru has already come into your life from your baby days. It's all about your waking up. It is about your awakening. It is nothing to do with anybody else. So, if you have awakened to the sights and sounds of this world, which is the primary thing that happened in your learning process, do you realize that it was because of your nursery teacher, because of the staff of that nursery, because of your mother and your father and your brothers and sisters with whom you interacted, and when you questioned them on small things, how they exerted in a childish way to teach you so that you are able to comprehend. Look at the labor, look at the love. You do not wish to recognize all this as a contribution of a guru. This is the pathos on the route to spiritualization. Because you think that when you embark on spiritualization, you are doing something fantastic which nobody else has done. Spiritualization, in fact, is nothing outside. It is your inherent quality. It is your native state. You were born a spiritual person. And the adage that Aham Brahmasmi, which was propagated and popularized by the great sage Adi Shankara, is a point in reference that in deep inside each individual dwells the Lord and his pulpit. So actually, you don't need to go out for anything. You need to go in. And that is precisely the subject of my talk. Dhyan. Dhyan is not an external activity. It has nothing to do with anything outside. It has everything to do with the configuration and the circuitry of yours, which God has endowed, blessed, custom made for you, each one of you in a different way, so that you are able to operate it comfortably, smoothly. 4G, 3G, 2G, सब रखा है अंदर, आपके लिए खास बनाया है. जब प्रभु ने आपको भेजा, मैं तो कहूंगा कि आपको जब अवतार दिया, आप भी अवतार है, मगर आप मानने को कबूल नहीं करोगे ना. यही तो प्रॉब्लम है. आप क्या अवतार नहीं हो, आप भी अवतरित हुए हैं प्रभु के काम के लिए, प्रभु की शक्ति के साथ पैदा हुए हैं. मगर आप वैसा देखना अगर चाहेंगे तो ही होगा. अगर आप आंखें मूंद ले और अपने दिमाग को बंद ताला लगा दें और सोचेंगे कि जो दौलत अपने पास है उसके बारे में आप विचार नहीं करेंगे और दौलत को ढूंढते जाओगे बाहर, तो फिर ये बाधा है, ये हर्डल है. दिस इज द डिफिकल्टी ऑन द पाथ टू स्पिरिचुअलाइजेशन. तो पहले तो ये समझना जरूरी है कि आप खुद सक्षम है. यू आर फुल्ली केपेबल. आप फिजिकली फिट हो, मेंटली एबल हो, आत्मस्वरूप से भी आप अच्छे हो. तो फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम है अगर आप अपने आप को पकड़ के, धर के, इफ यू control yourself and realize the beauty that you are. मैं एक वर्कशॉप कर रहा था कहीं पे, तो लोगों ने मुझसे पूछा, people asked me whether I do miracles. तो I said, मैं आपको उसके बारे में जरूर खुलासा करता हूं. Then I asked them, have you ever spent one day, 24 hours with somebody who doesn't have eyes? Visions? Most of them did not have an answer. I said, spend one day with somebody who cannot see the world. Similarly, spend one day with somebody who cannot hear. Similarly, spend one day with somebody who is disabled by the arms or feet. And then you will realize that God has made you into a magical instrument. You are yourself a very big infrastructure of various magics. The trouble is, we don't want to accept our completeness, our oneness. So this kind of shadow which is there in our mind is karmic in nature. It's a virus. It is a block. It is a kind of an impediment. Now you can ascribe various reasons for why that blockage came. Environmental reason, genetic reasons, then karmic reasons. Now this blockage can go. I will tell you how. That is precisely why I am going to talk on the difficulties of meditation and its smooth functioning on a daily basis. So the first thing I have told you is to accept anyone and everyone who has awakened you from childhood. Please try to recollect. Please try to bow down to them at least once in a year on this auspicious day of Vyasa Purnima. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, mother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, neighbor. Whoever has been helpful to you, whoever has told you right things, whoever has guided you, your friends, many. You have got umpteen nudges and pushes in life, and that is why you are so clever today. So you have to audit your life from day one. Every person who comes into your life does not come in vain. आपकी जिंदगी में जो भी इंसान आता है वो कोई एक्सीडेंटल नहीं है, वो कोई एक महज किस्सा नहीं है, उसके पीछे एक रहस्य है। उस इंसान के साथ आपका आदान प्रदान जरूरी है करके आता है, मगर क्या आप उस तरीके से देखना चाहते हैं? आप क्या करेंगे? कोई आया तो देखेंगे उसके लिबास को, उसके ड्रेस को देखेंगे. यू विल सी हिज ड्रेस, whether he is dressed well or he is dressed badly, and then you will determine him whether then you will slot him in your worldly knowledge कि नहीं ये तो दिखता है ऐसा ही, बस मामूली दिखता है. फिर किसी को देख के उसने अच्छा कुछ कॉस्टली स्पेक्स पहना है, कॉस्टली वॉच पहना है, तो सोचेंगे कि ये तो कोई पोजीशन वाला आदमी है, जरूर कुछ फायदा होगा इसके साथ बातचीत करने से. वैसे मन आपका उस तरीके का हो गया है, दुनियादारी में फंस गए हैं आप. यू गॉट ट्रैप्ड बाय नॉट योर विजडम, द ऑपोजिट ऑफ इट, वॉट एवर यू मे लाइक टू कॉल इट. और आपको उसने जकड़ लिया है. आपके सामने मैं आपको लिख के देता हूं, प्रभु भी आ जावे और खड़ा हो जावे एक साधारण लिबास में, तो आप नहीं पहचानोगे. आप बड़ी बड़ी बातें सीखना चाहते हो, कुंडलिनी जागरण, ऑरा रीडिंग, दुनिया भर का ज्ञान, रेखी है, ये है, वो है, पर मैं आपको दावे के साथ कह सकता हूं कि आप प्रभु को नहीं पहचानोगे अगर प्रभु आपके जीवन में आएगा तो, क्योंकि आपके अंदर स्लॉटिंग हो चुका है. आपने अपना अज्ञान का ज्ञान का भंडार लगा दिया है, लाइब्रेरी, रेफरेंस लाइब्रेरी बना दी है. और अभी ये जो बाधा है, इट हैज गॉट मल्टीप्लाइड 100 टाइम्स थैंक्स टू व्हाट्सएप, गूगल एंड व्हाट नॉट. तो ये बहुत अभी इस युग में, इस विज्ञान युग में, इस साइंटिफिक युग में, दिस प्रॉब्लम्स हैव गॉट एक्सेंचुएटेड, एंड सो इट इज ऑल द मोर डिफिकल्ट टू स्पिरिचुअलाइज, because there are so many opinions floating. And which opinion do you pick up? You pick up the opinion which enabled you to get a job, those set of logical conclusions, or you pick up the same system of opinions which helped you to get admission in a big college, or that person. And so you move about in that way without realizing spiritualization has nothing to do with this world whatsoever. This world was created by spiritualization, by the spiritual energy. So that little creation you are giving it so much importance, whereas that which created this, you are not interested. Imagine, look at the difficulties that you have created for yourself. That which created art, science, technology, aeroplane, whatever you see on the planet, you will not recognize that, but you will recognize one small fiber out of that who did a little act and who got some award or reward at the hands of some group of people, either on merits, let's say, or even by manipulation and merit combinations. So we get carried away. We do not use our own independent thinking. This is the point. So you need to have your own judgment, and that will come only when you have faith in yourself. If you do not have faith that you are a complete human being, then it is the first hurdle which you have to remove. Now, do I have to tell you that what are the qualities required to become a good human being? Obviously, there are only two. One is love and compassion, and second is honesty. Are you willing to exercise that on a 24/7 into 365 days? Will you remember these three cardinal principles? Then you have my highest assurance today that spiritualization and all the Chiranjeeva gurus will chase you. There is very little traffic on the road to spiritualization. And so the eternal masters are ever eager, and they are looking out for aspirants who would be interested in spiritualizing themselves. So you need to think on your own. You need to embrace everyone as creations, as beautiful creations of the same Lord. You cannot differentiate mankind as superior and inferior, because in that process you are taking up the place of the Lord. So on one hand, you consider yourself a student wanting to learn, wanting to improve, and on the other hand, your judgment are very, very different. So you need to harmonize yourself. You need to become humble. You see a tree which is laden with fruits is always bowing down, enabling people to pluck the fruit easily. So when you become humble, it is a corollary that you are lovable, that you are compassionate, that you have the goodness of the entire mankind in your heart. Now coming back to meditation. So I have very succinctly driven home the point that you need a guru, because if you needed a guru to wear your pants when you started growing up, obviously you will need a guru for other things. But if you look at those people who came into your life, who taught you various things, and if you looked at them from the angle of love and compassion, then you will start seeing that those very people did teach you the fundamentals of even spiritualization. You see, your mind has a screen. You have opened the screen, let's say 6 inches, and you have absorbed the world, and you have thought, this is it. But now what I am asking you is to please move that screen another 3 inches on the left and another 3 inches on the right, and you will see the canvas has become very wide. Now the very professor who taught you and whose lectures you never missed and in whose lectures you never got bored, have you ever given a thought why does that happen? Because that person practiced discipline. He knew he had a lecture tomorrow. He sacrificed his party, he sacrificed his cereal, and he prepared himself for the lecture on the next day so that his students benefit, so that his students are able to comprehend everything easily. So behind every good step, there is a sacrifice behind. Nothing happens in vacuum. Not a single action becomes successful without discipline behind. So if you are going to embark on meditation, you need discipline. You cannot be an indisciplined person and embark on meditation. It will not happen. That will be your first difficulty. I am not suggesting that you should get up at 4 o'clock. You get up at whatever time you wish to get up. But do get up at that time daily. And then you need to have a routine. I am not going to suggest what kind of a routine you need to have. But you need to have a routine which encompasses love, compassion, sacrifice to some extent. For the end, a willingness to do something good for the society. Now, you can always say, I am very busy. That's a very beautiful word. Who is not busy? You talk to a child who is 4 years old, and if the child has heard that word, he or she is going to use that word very often, saying, I am busy. So you may be busy, but you need to practice discipline and eke out time and slot some time for others. I am not going to give you a recipe of traditional religious invocations and prayers. That is left to you. What you do is your tradition. In your family, you know all the roots of that. I don't need to inculcate all that inside you. If you do it, it's good. Even if you are not able to do it, that is not an issue. But you need to have inside your heart a place for service. Service to mankind. Now let me give you a personal example. I used to go to college. I used to have practicals. I used to have lectures after that. And then I used to come home. And then I had to practice my lectures, refresh everything, and then of course, as a youngster, one wanted to play some game, interact with friends. In those days, there were not much of distractions like today. The television, the cell phone, the Google, the internet. But then evening time, I gave to a night school. I was myself a youngster. I went and taught in a night school to the less privileged. And the average age of my students was more than double my age. Probably I was one of the youngest teachers ever who stepped into that night school. But that gave me a great satisfaction. That taught me many things. It is very difficult to teach people who are daily wage earners. They are very shrewd. They have a mindset which is different from a traditional student. And they are looking at you very differently. So one has to take up such challenges in life. And when you overcome these challenges, your willpower gets strong. When you do any act which is not for your own selfish gain, your immunity jumps up, your aura becomes more powerful, you become more magnetized, you will attract people. You have my word. You have my word. So every single day of your life, try to give 5 minutes of thought how you can help someone. I am not suggesting to write a check of a big amount and give it and get done with it. No, that will not help you at all. You need to introspect on that. You need to spend time. Okay? Shall I give it to this organization or that organization? At least once you should go and visit and satisfy for yourself whether that organization is doing good work or is the money being spent on staff. They have got a hierarchy of managers who are taking away 75% of your donation. Only 25% goes for the cause and things like that. So when you start applying your mind to that, your spiritualization starts. So I have taken you on a very different route to spiritualization. You thought probably I will tell you something very traditional. No, it doesn't work with me. Because meditation has to be integrated with life. And you have to transform this planet into a better place. How would that happen? How would that ever happen if you are not integrated with the planet and its needs? You are so blessed. You have got a brain which is ticking. You have got education. You have got food, shelter, clothing. By and large, you are okay. If you do not do it, who will do it? So the Lord the Merciful is watching you. Please remember, He is not going to get carried away by your cash and carry attitude. You went to a place of worship, gave some best of things there, whatever is required for the prayers, and you dropped a big note inside the donation box. You bowed down to the people there or whatever is the tradition of your religion, and you came out, and now you feel that you have quenched yourself. No, it doesn't work that way. That is good. I am not saying that is not good. That is extremely good, but that has got a blessing factor. It will bless you. But then until and unless you exert physically for a cause, which means just not giving away, like you can do it. There are 4 t-shirts, take out 2 and give it to somebody. No, you'll have to think. Like he is your brother. What t-shirt would suit him? What would not suit him? Whether you should give him this color. Your entire attitude, your perception, your thinking has to be spiritual. When you do that, you are getting integrated with the Lord. I am not talking at tangent. Please remember. This is very subtle. This is very subtle. Very subtle spiritualization I am teaching you today. So God is everywhere. All the scriptures of the world have said this, that God is everywhere. God is all pervasive. Then accept that. No, that is exactly what I am trying to tell you. That is what I am trying to tell you. So please integrate yourself with life. You are a living entity. You have to infuse life wherever you go. You cannot be active at your 50% level and achieve your thing. No, you cannot ration your life. Your life has to be spent fully in every action. Which means the full force of your life force, your Atma, has to be exerted and felt by the other person. When you do that, you are changing the other person's life. You have become a guru without your knowing. When you guide somebody who is your assistant, when you guide somebody who is your colleague, who is in trouble, and you don't guide them perfunctorily, ऐसे कुछ बोल दिया, no.
You have thought about it like they are their own kith and kin, as if that problem is yours.
And then you exert your full cerebral frequency, and then you do not crib on if you have to part with some other things of yours in the process. But you will package the whole deal and give it to him as a help, and watch that he succeeds. That is a very big act on your part, and that will boost your immunity. That will boost your spiritual matrix very high. So we have to bring godliness, integrate it in our life. So cosmic energy cannot be an external factor and you just take it for your selfish deeds and have fun. No, it doesn't work that way. It will never work that way. So we do need guides, we need gurus, we need able people all the way in our lives. Just as when you accept somebody as your guru, you must also be aware that you are also playing out the role of a guru to somebody else. And when you do that with that mindset, then you get integrated as a universal person. When we say Sarve Janaha Sukhino Bhavantu, this is what it means. And when we talk about Vishwa Bandhutvam, that we are all one big family, this is how it works. The way I have narrated many things now, this is how it works. So you need to bring God and his energy into the realm of mind of man, that is the planet, and transform the planet. And that is why you and I are born. Why are we born otherwise? We are born to make this place a better place, both for ourselves and for others. Nowadays, because of internet, we hear so many beautiful stories of achievements of people. I read somewhere in Meghalaya or somewhere in Assam, there was one man who has created a huge forest single-handedly. Every single day, without fail, he went and planted a tree, a sapling, saw to it that it was well looked after, and he just went about it that way. And after a couple of years, a forest came about, and the whole world had that to see. Now, is this not a miracle? Is this person not a saint? Is this person not a guru? I can write 100 pages on this man and accept him as my guru, because he was concerned with the environment. He was concerned with afforestation. He was concerned about many other things which was troubling the poor Adivasi tribes there. Now this vegetation would give a lot of things to those poor people by way of food, by way of fuel, and many other things. So symbiotic living, or living in consonance with not only the human beings but also with nature, is the biggest spiritual activity which one can embark on. And you'll be surprised that most of the Vedic hymns celebrate the elements of nature, celebrate the seasons, celebrate the beauty of nature. It's just that unfortunate that most of us don't understand Sanskrit, and so we think it is some chant, that's about all. But please take some trouble and pick up one of those videos and try to understand the meaning, and you will be surprised that our ancients were very concerned about man and nature and his symbiotic relationship. our places of worship were not just places of worship, they were laboratories. That's a different subject, and maybe we can talk about it on another occasion. The places of worship were very much integrated with society. The places of worship gave scholarship a role, gave artisans a role, gave musicians a role, gave weavers a role, gave the goldsmith a role, gave the blacksmith a role, and gave the masons, the people who are working with bricks, mortar, and of course the shilpis who are people who are concerned with building temples. Now these edifices acted not only for prayer, they were also institutions which where counseling took place. They were also places of cultural enhancement and entertainment. They gave solace, they gave remedies, they were also places of knowledge and information. A lot of Ayurvedic and Siddha medicines have evolved, with these institutions. So again, places of worship were not just isolated places of worship. This is what I am trying to tell you. They were integrated with mankind. They were integrated with their society. They provided employment. They rewarded them. They excelled them. They encouraged them. The musician could go and play music there and thereby got encouraged. Things like that. So we are a society who has always taken everybody together. We are a society which has always moved towards positivity. We are a society, historically speaking, which has always wished well of ourselves and the planet. In other words, what am I telling you? We took on the responsibility without saying in so many words that we are the gurus of the world. Bharat, the blessed bhumi of saints, the land which gave the most complete scriptures during the Vedic times, thousands of years ago, before man knew nothing about anything else, which touched on all aspects of life and the solar system. That complete culture was embedded genetically in our ancestors. We have to realize that we belong to a very sophisticated race. I'm using the word race because Bharat was not just the continent that you see today. It had arms extending far away to the west and in the east, which have now become geographically and politically different countries. But even if you go now and you talk to the Indologists there, you will know that those cultures have in their nucleus a Bharat throbbing. Many of these countries have adopted different religions. But somewhere, if you have a discerning eye, you will see culturally a lot of their aspects are still Bharatiya. They are integrated with this country. So you need to look through, you need to read between the lines, you need to see through. And all this will happen if you rise above yourself. Now, if you are all the time concerned about this perishable body, which is going to ultimately leave you one day, then nothing can happen. Our ancestors and our ancient teachers have taught us to rise above the physical body with the help of the truth which dwells within us. In other words, we have inside us a space which protects you from all the bombardments of the outside world. Rich countries who have first of all launched all nuclear weapons have all now built for the protection of their VVIPs certain underground structures, so that even in the case of a nuclear catastrophe, they are saved. But the Lord the Merciful has already created that sanctum sanctorum inside all of us, where we can take refuge from the bombardments of life, from the vicissitudes of our karma. And that is the topic with which I am concerned. So the inner refuge center is our meditation center. You need not go anywhere. It is there inside you, private, exclusively designed for you. And whatever I have now spoken, if you can remember those nuances which I have spelled out, and if you are willing to become sophisticated and cultured as our ancestors were, and our parents and grandparents have already exhibited that, we don't have to go very far. It's only the recent few decades, because of over commercialization and over media exposure, that there has been deterioration. Now imagine if today's type of attitude was exhibited by the freedom fighters of the 1940s, do you think India would have got independence? Just think about it. Why did these people sacrifice all their lives? They were not labor class, mind you, they were all educated men and women. They gave everything. My own mother, who was 4 or 5 years old when Gandhiji came for collection of money she was in Ooty, Kunur. Her mama, who was a lawyer, had invited Gandhiji to the area, and so he had come to our ancestral house there. And my mother was told by my mama, her mama, sorry, that this is a very big person called Gandhiji, and he is trying to help us, so, and he needs money. Can you give your bangles? My mummy gave it. So my mother is also a freedom fighter of sorts. So this is an example, classic. And what did Gandhiji give in return? He gave her 2 handfuls of draksh, kismis, which my mother remembers even now. So this is the kind of sacrifice our people have made, and they never made a song and dance. They never wrote on any board donations, this, that. नहीं, कुछ नहीं, ATG का exemption नहीं मांगा भाई, दे दिया. इतनी धर्मशालाएं बनी है उस जमाने में, कोई होटल में नहीं खाता था बाहर गांव जाने पे, सब धर्मशालाओं में जाते थे, बर्तन मिलता था, ईंधन मिलता था, प्रोविजंस देते थे, और आप अपना खाना खुद बना सकते थे. वो कैसे हुआ? Who enabled it? Some rich man with a big heart saying no. He was proud of his town, his village. He said, मेरे गांव में कोई आएगा वो भूखा नहीं जाएगा, उसके रहने के लिए एक छत में बनाऊंगा. देखिए कितना विशाल हृदय था हम भारतीय लोग कैसे थे? अतिथि देवो भव is now a slogan for WhatsApp's exchange. It was practiced in this motherland of ours, and I have been recipient of their munificence in many dharmshalas of Gujarat during my young days when my daddy and mummy used to take me on pilgrimage. They were spectacularly clean places, not just given away, looked after, run beautifully. They had all the trappings of a hotel but no money virtually. Virtually they used to just take whatever donation we gave. So what I am trying to tell you is, my dear friends, spiritualization is in our blood. हमारे खून में है. वो खून में कोई प्रॉब्लम आ गया है, इसीलिए हमको इधर उधर भागना पड़ रहा है सीखने के लिए. सारी दौलत अपने अलग अलग जेबों में है, उसको टटोलिए, उसको खोजिए, उसको पहचानने की कोशिश करिए, और ट्रायल एंड एरर मेथड से सब समझ में आ जाएगा आपको. जैसे आप होटल में जाते हैं, वो लाके आपको मेनू कार्ड देता है, उसमें अंग्रेजी में बहुत सारी वानगियों के डिस्क्रिप्शंस रहते हैं, आपको पट 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 सब समझ में आ जाता है. कैसे समझ में आता है? वैसे कोई भी विषय के ऊपर अगर आप चिंतन मनन करोगे, इफ यू स्टार्ट लुकिंग एट इट प्रॉपरली, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड एवरीथिंग. उसके बाद अगर कोई डिफिकल्टी होगी तो तब देखा जाएगा. वहां वो स्टेज तक तो आप पहुंचिए. पहले के जमाने में लोग बीमार नहीं गिरते थे. क्यों? क्योंकि घर का जो किचन था ना, वही दवाखाना था. वहां के मरी, ब्लैक पेपर, जिंजर, ड्राइड जिंजर, ऐसी जो भी सामग्रियां थी किचन में, मम्मी उसका काढ़ा बना के आपको पिला देती थी, आप ठीक हो जाते थे. तो जिस दिन हमारी मां की अहमियत हमने घटा दी, हमारे पूर्वज, हमारे जो बुजुर्ग हैं, उनकी अहमियत हमने घटा दी, we started devaluing them, we started valuing outsiders. Who? The chemist. In my childhood in Ahmedabad, I have not seen anybody fall sick. There was no chemist shop for miles together, there was no doctor. And I am talking of this era, Baba. In the 50s, in the 60s, आप किसी को भी पूछ लीजिए. और आज क्या हालत है? What is the situation today? Every building has 3 chemists, nursing home and what not. So we have bartered our capacity and become slaves to other human beings who are in no way superior to you. This is the bare basic point. You have to realize this. ये समझे बिना आध्यात्म आपके अंदर पक नहीं सकता है, कोई भी किस्म का. ये भ्रम पक सकता है. You may have an illusion of doing many things. It will not be the truth. Because spirituality has to be rooted on firm grounds. Grounds of truth, grounds of reality, grounds of the true culture of the geography of the place. It cannot be Hawaii Mahal. It cannot be a firefly which comes and just goes away. No, it doesn't work that way. Now, when a rich man, you go to a person for donation, how many questions he is asking to part with a few pennies? And when you go to the Lord, you ask him everything, and you think he has no judgment to give you appropriately. So meditation is nothing but Lord's energy. It's a divine energy. Why would he part with it to you if you are not the correct person? And that is why I am telling you that meditation is not learning, is not book learning. It is not steps. It is not some asana that you do and you get it. No. Meditation is creative energy. It is that energy which can do anything and everything. It's an energy of blessing. It's an energy of healing. It's an energy which moves according to the wishes of the Lord, not according to the wishes of you or your guru, so-called guru. No. No human being can direct that energy. So you please disabuse your mind that you can tell the meditation energy to come, to halt, to move. It is not a dog whom you are taking out for a walk according to your commands. Sorry, you are not on the same page. So if you are talking about meditation, please remember, you are talking about the Lord's energy, not physical energy of any person. And the switch of meditation is controlled by the Lord. He only will decide. Even if a human being whom you have accepted as a guru blesses you out of love, the blessing will be there. That's it. It won't work further if the Lord doesn't wish. So the audit is done by the Lord. So it's a very, very different game from what the world is trying to tom-tom via WhatsApps and YouTubes. It is one thing that you accept somebody as knowledgeable. I have no quarrel. Okay? But what will you do with all that knowledge? Already you are so knowledgeable. Just because somebody says something in a particular way doesn't make it godly. This is the kind of discretion your mind has to now give birth to. And if you are clever, you will try to integrate all that you have heard from so-called people, whom you like to call them whatever you wish to, and ordinary people with whom you associated. They also said the same thing in a different, simple manner, because they did not have a vision in your pocket. They didn't want your money. They were kind-hearted people. They said, please don't do this. It's not good for you, Baba. So the love energy which gurus emit can only come if the guru is suffused in love. If he is integrated with the Lord all the time. He need not be a wise person as you think. We have a very classical example of Ramana Maharshi, who barely smoked. He barely spoke, but he transformed millions of people. Why? Because he had transformed his entire cellular structure, his entire DNA into a vehicle of transformation. So anybody who uttered the word Ramana sincerely got connected with him. And the energy moved. And the energy moved. No donation. And when they went physically to Ramana, one look and this person has solved all his misery. That is the caliber of gurus that we had in this Bharatvarsh. Maharashtra, to which I belong, is a blessed state. The Guru Parampara here is remarkably visible. Even today, Gajanan Maharaj of Shegaon, Shirdi Baba of Shirdi, and Swami Samarth of Akalkot and Shankar Maharaj of Dhanakavadi, Pune are some of the names of these giants who blessed this earth. Their very name can electrify your spiritual matrix. So you need to get integrated with such personas. Spiritualization, my dear friends, is not giving and taking, is of removing. Removing what? Removing all the kachara, all the dirt, all the problems that you are beset with. And once you are sponged, when your inner being is bathed, the beautiful soul that you are, that beautiful light will flow out of your bosom. The inner light will come out, and you who thought you are nothing till yesterday, you will become something. You will become a tool of seva, of succor, of help to people. We are all one. Our blood is one, red in color. We breathe the same oxygen. We all drink the same water. And so there is only one God, by whatever name you call. And this is what the spiritual giants of this Bharatvarsha have taught us. We have to embark on these lines. When somebody comes into your ken, you must realize immediately, oh, the Lord has sent him. There must be a purpose. You cannot then say he's a small boy of 14 years. What will he know? He may be a giant. For all you know, he may be a guru of your last birth. How do you know? The peon outside the IAS officer's chamber, who every day went and saluted the boss and gave him a glass of clean water, and the IAS officer was celebrated. Little did he know that the Guru was giving him water every day. And it was that energy which was making him rule the roost. We have a classic case of Ramakrishna Paramahansa and Vivekananda as to how the Guru groomed the Shishya so affectionately, so lovingly, so compassionately, so humbly. So we have to learn these sterling qualities. So the big book of spirituality lies in the fundamentals of life. That's it. The rest of the big things, you will do it. You will sing the new songs. You will write the new books. Why not? Why are you born otherwise? Why have you any interest in spiritualization? You have to imbibe all this, integrate inside you, transform it inside you, put all your views and your observations and cook a new recipe and integrate and serve it to mankind. And then talk about it. That is the purpose of life. So spirituality starts and ends with you. It is not an outside activity. So all the difficulties on the path to meditation points its fingers like this. See, it is pointing at you. Don't try to find fault with anybody. You can only improve yourself, nobody else. So try to improve yourself, and you know exactly how to do it. And if you start housekeeping of yourself all the time. Take it from me on this auspicious occasion that in 30 days' time, the wonderful fountain of the Lord will start reverberating inside you. You cannot leave for a simple split second from your mind that you want to spiritualize. At every given point of time, you must work. Work is worship. This is what I have spelled out. You must work. When as you work, you must thank God and be with God, integrate yourself with God, and try to search God in your work. How you do it is your research topic, because each one has a different place of work. And in that work, you have to search God. Now I'll give you when I say this, my disciple Anandi has now written a book called Mind Your DNA. 22 years of hard work. She used to do meditation. She was in constant touch with me. She used to aid and abet me in all my programs. Time searching for science behind meditation. It says you're currently offline. So what? I have refreshed. No, I have refreshed. Am I audible now? Please, somebody comment immediately, please. Am I audible? Somebody, please tell me, because they said I'll have to refresh and I have refreshed. It says end live video or something. Huh? Why? Can anybody tell me whether I am visible, audible or not? Can anybody please comment quickly? I was restored. Now can you hear me please? Anybody can give me a message please? Am I? Yes, I can see and hear you. Okay, very good. So summing up, the difficulties are the ones which I narrated just now. They can be overcome, and for practicing meditation, it's not. So I was telling you about Anandi and her book. So when she was focused all the time to find out and search science behind meditation, she was able to write this book. So that is a proof positive of whatever I have told you. I knew nothing about science. I have not helped her even 0% in her endeavor. Okay? But she brought out this book, and that it is not at that level that I can end. The best scientists across the globe have applauded her book. And a very senior scientist who is 81 years old, a professor emeritus, has said that Anandi, your book will require at least another 50 PhDs. So such is the possibility of somebody who is focused on meditation and does not look for it outside, doesn't look out for it, looks inside and integrates the God inside us, brings out that God. God understands Hindi, Punjabi, Marathi, Urdu, Russian, Arabic, everything. You agree on that? If you agree on that, God is all the time reading your mind, seeing your thoughts. So when you are doing your work properly, that is the biggest prayer. When you are helping mankind, that is the biggest prayer. Please help the underprivileged. That will give you enough spiritual power to meditate. Help a blind organization, help an orphanage.
Do something good to somebody. That will give you a lot of spiritual power. Now, I went and taught to the night school, and that gave me a lot of spiritual power. I always reflect and think, what gave me all this power to spiritualize? It was the blessings of the night school which I did as a collegian. Instead of enjoying, I went and gave my time to the underprivileged. Similarly, please give your time to the underprivileged. I am not suggesting to part with big money. Give your brain, give your ideas, give your smile. Somebody is sick, you can go and wish them well. Your very presence, your smile will make them happy. They will tell 10 people, oh, she came and helped me feel better. He came and blessed me, I feel better. We can do so many things in our daily life. Are we prepared to do that? खाली किसी के पास जाके एक सेमिनार अटेंड करके उसको 5,000 10,000 देने से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. दैट इज अ रॉन्ग अप्रोच टू स्पिरिचुअलाइजेशन. ठीक है, उसमें नॉलेज मिलेगा. आई हैव नो क्वारल ऑन दैट. So I have taught you the difficulties of spiritualization. I have told you how to overcome the spiritualization. Now coming back to meditation. Meditation will commence. Okay. It doesn't require big formality. You have to just sit, relax yourself, and the rest will happen. Now there is a book which was authored by me many years back. They are available on Amazon. It's called The Inner Light Cosmic Meditation. Okay. You can download that. Go to Amazon. You will get an e-book. Or you will get a hard copy. Now, when you read the Inner Light Cosmic Meditation, it is a step-by-step guide to spiritualization. Okay, it will teach you when to do meditation, how to do meditation, what are the problems in meditation, what all foods you have to take in meditation. It will give you all the tips that you require. There will be no question left. And if there is a question left, I am available to you free of cost. You message me on my WhatsApp or you send me an email. I am duty bound to reply to you without asking you to pay anything. If this is acceptable to you, then on this auspicious day, let me wish you and your families good health. Let us all pray in our hearts on a daily basis that God show mercy on us and remove this pandemic from the globe so that the children can go out and romp and play, so that the men and women can go to their work freely and earn their daily wage and look after their family, and the world can normalize itself. Please, all of us should ask pardon for the sins we have committed and thereby boost our immunity, our own godliness, our own spiritual strength, and then we will become very strong human beings. Last but not the least, please be very, very careful when you deal with your elderly people. They are living gods. Your elderly people, your parent, your uncle, your neighbor, your auntie, even your watchman. If he is a senior citizen, please be good to him. Please look after them. In this way, when you give service to mankind, you shall thrive. God, as I said, is watching you. God does not require our intelligence. The intelligence that we have has been given is God-driven. So there is a God inside us watching all the time and giving marks to us. We have to get good marks from that invisible God who is inside us. The invigilator, the teacher is inside us. So get the good marks from that IIT inside, that IIM inside, and excel yourself. That is the message I have for you on Guru Purnima day. Now my final announcement is, having told you so much about Seva, I have now decided to embark on building an orphanage near Pune. It will be a pilot project, and in the first stage it will house 50 orphans, 25 male, 25 females, with about 10 staff. So all of you should spread this message. I need lots of volunteers and I want it to be run by experts. I am not looking for chairmanship there. I am not looking for trusteeships there. I am not looking for name. I am not looking for anything. I am looking for a good shelter which is created by our collective efforts and which runs without any hitch or hindrance by the collective genius of all the founding people. With these words, I leave you to your next program that you need to do, and I wish you and your families good health and cheer, and may God bless all of us. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can quickly write them down. I will be most delighted to answer. I will wait for 2 minutes. If there are no questions, I would take it that you will contact me on WhatsApp or something, and I will end the live video. I'll give you 2 minutes. If there are questions, I will take them up. Thank you for all the good wishes and all the love that so many of you have given, and so many who have not been able to join us. I am sure the video would be uploaded on the YouTube, because all the things that I have said will be recorded by Facebook. We'll be able to retrieve it and we will upload it. Maybe we need to do a little bit of editing. I would prefer it to go as it is. So nice that all of you have joined. My love to all of you, and please remain in touch, and please do your parents proud.